Hey guys, welcome to the process. Thank you for joining us. Today we have Sterile MD, myself, Alessandra Nicholson from the Candray Institute of SPD, and we have Jeffery Wilkins from Sterile Concepts Technology. Guys, welcome.
Thank you.
So we'll head into a 30-second break, and guys, hot topics and call into the line. We will be here to answer any questions you guys have. See you in 30 seconds. So welcome back, guys. Open mic tonight. Anybody could call in. The number is 559 talk SPD. 559 TALK SPD. So guys, call the number, leave a message. We'll play your call, or we'll play your question, your comment, your concern, whatever you have. Call. The first person who calls will get a processed face mask, brand new, never been worn. Call into the show, leave a comment, and I can't wait to listen to your questions. So let's go.
I'm so excited to see what kind of questions we get, because usually the comment section is long.
Yes, definitely. So what's going on? What's going on in SPD these days?
SPD world. Well, on the social media front, Alessandra from Eye on SPD has created a hub page on her website that collects all of the SPD social media happenings. So you guys should definitely check that out. That's eyeonspd.com.
eyeonspd.com. And that's a big deal. Let me give another round of applause. Alessandra is doing big things. Big things. And she has all the relevant SPD podcasts on Facebook, and other platforms, on her website. If you want to find out what we spoke about last week, last month, what Knowledge and Nonsense spoke about last week, last month, what CS Nation spoke about, and all the other shows. Too numerous to mention. Just tune in, log into our website. And what's the website's address?
It's Eye on SPD, EYE on SPD.com.
Yeah, so just log on to Eye on SPD.
For you guys too, so you can click there and check it out.
Definitely. And hold on 1 second. And that's definitely a major thing in SPD, to have a website where we could get all that information in the same place. So thank you, Alessandra. Appreciate it.
Alessandra is the whole reason why I'm even podcasting as an SPD manager right now. So he is definitely looping everybody in and plugging everybody together, and I just think she's a great resource.
Definitely. And then I remember my first time actually speaking with her. I asked her about some website question, and she gave me an answer, and I was like, oh, she responded. And I was like, I was surprised she responded, because I was like, oh, she's probably not going to respond, but let me just send a message just in case. So I responded, and then we built a relationship based off of that. And then she always had time to help me out when I had my mic issues, when I was trying to start the podcast 3-4 hours at a time, trying to get the background music in. And yeah, she like stay up from like 2 a.m. in the morning. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to get this background music in. I'm trying to get this theme song correct. Tell me if you hate. Tell me if you... And then she'd stay on the phone, until I was done. I'm like, okay, you've been on the phone long enough. I'll let you go. So she's a real big help. She's been a real big help.
We're talking about resourcing. She just makes sure you have whatever you need. And that's amazing. The first time I came across her was her podcast episode about interview tips. And I was watching that while I had recently been furloughed for my job due to COVID. And so I was able to use some of those interview clips to land the job that I got while I was working on unemployment, waiting for a sterilizing job to open up. So huge help. And then one other new podcast that I came across this week was on Instagram. This is a podcast called Stir That Pot by Jesse Lopez. And Jesse Lopez has an Instagram page, WDYDCSP. So you can get some tips and tricks. So check that one out too, guys. I put the link in the comment section.
No, I think that's really good, especially when talking about Cylindra, because when I met her on this podcast. And one of the things that got me really looking at it because she was so on fire for it. It was like,
Right.
hey, when she spoke with authority. She spoke with conviction, and you knew that, she was about the business of sterile processing. And we need people like that. We need folks that's going to really stay and toe the line, because there are a lot that don't, but the ones that do, we really have to acknowledge them so they keep them encouraged. Not that you need it, but they keep them encouraged.
Ooh, I was about to say you definitely need it. Like it can be discouraging when you're the only person saying one thing and the group is going another way. And so being able to have peers that are on the same wavelength as you that will tell you, no, you're right. Stand up for what's right. That is very valuable. And I do appreciate her as being that type of light in our community right now.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. I mean, until I came on this podcast, I mean, a lot of times, especially in leadership, it can be tough, because you think that you're the only one in the room. You're the only one you're like, I'm the only one seeing this issue, because everybody else is telling you it's not an issue. It's good to have some other people like-minded that say, hey, listen, that is an issue. There is a way we can handle it. It makes a big difference. That's why I love being on this podcast. I have yet to see others, but I need to probably spend some time looking at some other ones.
Yes.
But right now, I'm really stuck on this. I'm really stuck on this.
Well, definitely everybody stays stuck on the process, but there is a lot of good information out there, and especially for SPD world, we know a lot of times it's only us educating ourselves properly. So I have enjoyed getting to know like Knowledge and Nonsense, The View from My Window. And I got into all of that because of Cylindra and her podcast, Eye on SPD. So now we're here.
Yes.
Right? So great.
Makes a big difference.
All right. So I went
And she says thank you. She's actually listening to us right now. She says thank you.
Hi, Alessandra.
Hey, Alessandra.
Yeah. So
we got our first
welcome.
call yet? We got our first call yet?
No, people, come on, call in. It's 559 TALK SPD. And let me tell you what numerics is that, because I'm a little slow. So I'm a little slow, maybe a lot. So it's 559 8255 7. What is that? P is 773. All right, and I can't say that again because I just lost my train of thought. So 559 TALK SPD. Call in, guys. Call in. I'm waiting for the first call. First caller gets a face mask. All right.
Mask out here.
A free face mask. I know we get into the pandemic. The pandemic is almost over now. I know people go into Walmart without face masks on. I still have mine on. So if you're still wearing a face mask,
Show it one more time, Dean. Show it one more time. Turn it so we can see the process of the name.
all
right.
There you go. Oh, it's upside down.
Right.
Oh,
It's upside down.
Yes. There you go.
So
Awesome.
there's a caller right now. Leave a message. We will air your message after you drop it down. So leave a message and then we'll play it and then we'll respond.
Awesome.
All right. So we do have a caller now.
Woo!
So leave a message and we will air your message after. All right. Now, if you have a question, we'll definitely answer that one. Because right now, I kind of want to, I know that's in English, but I want to like vet the messages a little bit to make sure nothing crazy is coming on there. So leave a message, leave a message. I'll take a little listen to it, and then we'll air it on. All right.
Awesome.
So let me just see.
We're getting so many different questions in the group, and one of the questions that came up this week from Veronica was about BIs and whether or not it was okay to release your tray to the OR before your BI is read. So let me ask the Jedi Master down here from SCT. What would you say about that? Should I release my tray at any point without the BI being ready?
Now, unfortunately, there are challenges in sterile processing when the operating room needs those trays. What we would technically do is send out a release form with it, ask for the surgeon or the lead nurse to sign off on it. Sometimes they will, but most often they'll say, well, we'll wait those extra 15 minutes so that, you get the reading to ensure that everything is good. Because if that rare situation happened where it comes up positive and you're using that tray, then you compounded the problem. So if you have to do it or they're pushing you to do that, I will just design a release form, set up a policy procedure, review it with the operating room. They should review it with the surgeons. And all the players should be at the table to let them understand that, hey, in an emergency situation, we have to release it before we get the BI read. We're just asking that you sign up on the documentation, that you understand what's happening.
Now, in creating that form, because let's say you are a facility that never had a release form before, what would you say are like some critical pieces of information that really need to be included in that document?
Yeah, if they have a medical record number, you want that, the date and time, the situation, the tray, the date and time that the tray is being released, who is being released to, the operating room number, and then you would, say that it's being released prematurely, and you take it upstairs to tray with the form, have them sign the form. You can give them a copy of it or make a copy of it after they sign off on it, and whoever's the releasing technician, they should sign on it as well. So that way, if they need to troubleshoot that, all the players that were involved with it can actually, give their information in terms of what happened and why the process was done that way.
I think that that piece is so critical, making sure that everybody in the multidisciplinary team had an opportunity to communicate. Because sometimes you have those situations where the OR will call for you to release a tray, and then the tech just takes it upon themselves to make the executive decision. It's like, whoa. There's an OR partner that needs to be involved. If you have a lead or a supervisor, they need to be involved. So, you have a lot of.
One thing I did fail to mention, you should also put the lot sticker on there too from that load, so that way you can trace it back to the BI and stuff. So that way you have everything in line. But it's very important to do it that way because there may come a time that something may happen adversely. You got the record to show that you're covering your team. Because the decision that had to be made at that time and it was released, and again, like I said, most times I had to deal with something like that. The doctors would say, hey, listen, what is it, 20 more minutes, half an hour, wait it out, because again, it's a liability at stake at that point.
Yeah, I definitely have had some surgeons tell me at that point of being presented with the option to sign to say, nah, it's not really that type of emergency. I can wait for that.
Yep.
Good stuff. Well, I'll definitely tag Veronica so that she can get those extra tips and tricks. And I just want to thank her for posting that question in the process group.
That's really good.
Thank you, and thank you.
All right. So, D, I got another question for you. I saw this, and right? Oh my goodness. And right, we was SPD text first, huh? Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm on the hot seat now. I'm ready.
On the hot seat.
I'm ready.
Question that comes up in the industry all the time. Where do you put the count sheet? And
So, say it again. Where do I put the count sheet? All right, so I will answer that. I see we have a little delay here, but I will definitely answer that. So, where do we put the count sheet? So there were based on some studies that were done in the past, from my understanding. So don't necessarily quote me. Do your research, please. Um, oh, so there was some research done in the past. I believe there was some effect from the ink on newborns or pregnant ladies. That the ink might affect them in some way. That's what I've been taught in the past. So one of the steps that were taken was to put the count sheet within within a paper bag. Now, further measures have been taken to put the count sheets on the outside of the tray, making it safer. Um, but from my understanding, the studies that were done were the effects of the ink was so minute. Even if the ink did come in contact with the instruments, it wouldn't have that much of an adverse effect on a pregnant um, or someone who is susceptible to ink infection. So infection from the ink. But many companies have been coming out with products to put the count sheets on the outside of the tray, to hook it on the handle of the container, to hook it on the side, even on the inside, but on the outside of the tray. I don't think there's any wrong way to do it, but if you have have a belief that may affect the patient, putting it outside the tray would definitely be the best way to go. That's just from my opinion. So, but I see nothing wrong with putting it in the tray in a paper bag.
Mm, nothing wrong. Jeff, what are your thoughts?
So what's your opinion? What's your opinion on that?
Well, my opinion is that for me, the safest way that I worked with it was that we would put it inside one of the sterilization bags, and we put the tray list inside of there, and we put it leaned against the side of the tray. In other words, it'd be in the basket, but it'd be on the side of the tray. There were some cases where we would put it on across the strung instruments, but they were always concerned that is it going to allow for the evacuation of steam to enter and the evacuation to escape, if that was going to be a hindrance where it can cause a wet tray. Um, Again, I think they still need to do a little more studies on it. That's just my opinion. I think universally we should try to do something across the board that's pretty standard. And I think that that's where we should actually lean to. But I've always, once I observed and did research in terms of the issues with the Xerox ink on the trays, then I went to putting it in the paper bag, in the sterilization bag.
I've done a mix of all. When I started my sterile processing career, we were, now mind you, that was 14 years ago. We were just folding the paper and putting it into the kit on top of the instruments once everything was laid out. And I think towards the end of my time there, the manager and educator had brought in those sterilization bags and we were putting them into the bags. My most recent facility, our SPD director didn't allow for the count sheets to go inside of the tray. So they actually would fold them and then tape them to the handle of the Askeladd pen, and then the barcode will go on the outside. They did try those, like I've seen the count sheet holders where they like sit to the side of the pen and you put it into the sheet. And then there were also like some hard plastic ones that hang on the pens, but the frontline staff didn't like either one of those products because the sticky one would leave behind the adhesive residue when you go to remove it to clean it in decam. And then the hard plastic container that you attach to the handle, it was just cumbersome. Like, when you get ready to load your sterilizer and you got this little box that's hanging off the side of the pan, it just didn't really work. So we went back to the folding and hanging it on the handle, and then putting the barcode. So I think for me, what I heard early on in my career was that the paper, like the paper is from Staples, the ink is, just regular ink, and it's not validated. So there was quite concern of whether or not it could be sterile.
Okay. Cylindra, did we lose Cylindra?
Alessandra. Yep.
I mean,
I'll wait
Alessandra.
for her to come back on. So she was giving her opinion on the changes from when she started. Simply putting the count sheet in the tray, from graduating to putting it in a paper bag. Now the current facility she's in, the count sheet is being taped to the outside of the tray, and barcode, meaning she has a tracking system, being put on the handle of the tray. So I think that's what she was getting to with her conversation. So Jeff, so since we're just two guys, nobody's watching, we're just chilling together, I have a question for you now.
Sure.
So, what would you do? Situational. What would you do if you found rust on an instrument on the clean side? What would you do? Clean it, take it back to Dick and Tam, ignore it.
Well, I would, if I have a tracking system, I would scan it back to Deacon Cam for rewash. If I don't have a tracking system, I would take it back, and ask him to be rewashed, pointing out, the concern that I have regarding the rust on the instrument. I mean, even though it appeared to be rust, it may not be rust. So I think it would be favorable just to go ahead and reprocess the instrument again, or if it's in the tray, the entire tray. So that way, if there's any residual that may have gotten onto the other instrumentation, it's better be safe. And that's really what the protocol should be. Take the whole tray back if it's in a tray. There have one instrument that was in a basket by itself, and that happens when you can send that instrument back to reprocess the contamination.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer. So my question would be, based on how you answered the question, my answer, my follow-up question would have been, what if it's rust and it's affecting the other instruments in the tree? So that was good that you covered that whole thing. Thank you. Alessandra, welcome back. Glad to have you back. So what's going on? Where were we? I tried to cover what you were talking about before in terms of putting count sheets on the outside of the trees.
Yeah.
Thank
you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
The next question I saw out in the groups was about Isham, our favorite topic. But one of the questions was, should Isham have digital books? Yes or no, and why?
You want me to answer that, or do you want to take it, D?
You know what? Let me answer that.
Okay.
I can understand a few of the reasons why they do not have digital books. Basically for copyright reasons. They wouldn't be able to sell the book because all you have to do is download it and send it to 5 of your friends. An instructor would be able to download it and send it to every one of the students and charge for it. So I think based on that, those reasons among many other reasons that they do not have digital books. What do you think? I think it's simple. I don't think it's that complicated. Like they don't want that information going out everywhere and not being able to monetize it. Although you could move a book around.
I can definitely understand that, and I think also I think it's confusing sometimes because we see digital books in colleges and stuff like that. So it's like, how do they do it in one area but we can't do it in a different one? But I would have to do research to really get a true understanding of what makes it, a different climate, because I'm sure they have to have a way to protect that information.
Yeah, I think they do have ways to protect it. I think it's going to be a monetary value attached to it. I'm not too advanced with the digital books. I like the hard copy, read the book. So for me to give my opinion, be biased. But I think sometimes the digital book may serve a purpose. I think you'll be able to get the digital book faster in terms of if you have to wait for ground shipping. So So I can see that being an asset to it. But overall, there's still going to be challenges. You on both fronts, because if you send the books, it's still a challenge because, people will Xerox copy them and do the same thing, and they will still sell the books when they shouldn't be selling, or they'll buy the books at $99 and sell them for $150. So there's still concern all the way around regarding that whole process. I mean, it's easier if everybody took the premise to be straightforward and honest about it. I mean, I've seen, instructors that I've talked to, they had to make a copy of the book or maybe a chapter so they can keep their students in line until they got the book, which I think that's still a concern there. In my younger days, I've done it once, a couple times myself, trying to make sure the students kept up. But, there are laws that stop that, so, you can't do it. So there's pros and cons on both sides.
Definitely. I do agree with that. I see nothing wrong with the way Isham have the textbooks out currently. I think a lot of textbooks are in the same distribution manner, like just hard copy only, no digital. So I see nothing wrong with that. I think that's the way it is until it changes.
Until it changes.
And guys, call in to the show and leave a message. You will not be coming on live. I know I saw a couple calls from some of our supporters. Call in, leave a message, and I will air your message afterwards. So you won't be coming on live, maybe in the future. So I kind of have to vet the process first, make sure it works before I allow anyone to come on live, to make sure we're all on the same page. So call in, leave a message, 559-TALK-SPD, and we'll play your message and we'll respond to your question. All right, Alessandra, it's all you.
All right. Okay, so next question I saw out in the SPD social media world was actually from somebody that was changing careers. So they were going from, I believe, a pharmacy tech position or some outside healthcare tech position. And they wanted to know, as somebody that never worked in the field before, what are the pros and cons of working in SPD?
Jeff, I'll let you take that one.
Okay. If you never worked in the field before, the first thing I would say is do a little research to see what you're about to get into. One of the things that I liked about it once I really started getting into it was that, the growth, it's a career, if that's what you want. I work with people that wanted to set a process where they can gravitate to get into leadership. And I met people who, as a technician, they loved being a technician, and that was their niche. They were awesome at it. If anybody's just getting into SPD, I ask them to think about whether or not you want to make this a career. I mean, some people do it for the various reasons, and that's personal to them. But I think it's an awesome profession. I think you get an opportunity to learn a lot. You get an opportunity to grow. There's levels that you can go to aspire in the sterile processing. You can branch off into other fields like endoscopy. Some people go on surge techs. I've even had people that I taught end up being nurses and medical assistants, just from starting from sterile processing and using that knowledge to gravitate to other things. I always say if you get into sterile processing, your first certification should be like your foundation, your platform. And wherever you spring off from there will be your choice to do. But I think it's a great profession. I would encourage anybody that thinks about it, first do some research if you really like it. Get into a class where you have a great instructor that's going to break down all the major points for you to help you be successful. And if you get really another leader that will help you get mentored into the process and lead you in a way, I think that'd be a good opportunity.
Good answer. I think Alessandra left again. So I agree with your evaluation of that question, your answer to that question, and I'd like to move on to another one. You have any questions for me? We'll have a small short discussion while we wait for our first phone call message. I know a couple of you guys did call in, but you guys will not be on live. We leave a message and we will air your message during the show. So 559 Talk SPD. All right, still waiting for your calls. Thank you, Leslie, one of our watchers. Thank you, Leslie. We also have another gentleman on here. I'll take a look at his name. We also have Alessandra, Sorry, we also have Salindra, and we have Lawrence Clark. PTAH, Lawrence Clark. I don't know. Hotep. I can't pronounce his name. Lawrence Clark. Thank you for tuning into the show. Appreciate it. Thank you. And we're back. So let's go, Jeff.
What's the next question?
I don't know. Let me see what we have here. So, in terms of career ladders, if you wanted to move up from a technician, what would be the next spot you'd recommend full-time or part-time technician go to? Is that based on years of experience, or is it based on just the next level of leadership or being a technician?
We can do it on both fronts. Let's look at the next level of responsibility in terms of being a technician. Most times you can go to a lead tech, where you can take more responsibilities and be more assertive in terms of taking projects on to assist the supervisors or the coordinators or the managers. There are also positions that, hospitals that have case card coordinators, where it takes a little more responsibility and sets up the cases for the next day. You can also gravitate to a loaner coordinator, where you'll be responsibility of organizing and labeling or designating for each case what trays go on which case. And then you can go to maybe a supervisor in a supervisor role. I think sometimes, depending on the personnel, they may want to skip those levels, just go to a supervisor role, and you can do that. There have been people that were able to go and make that jump and that transition and do very well at it. The only challenge would be, what is your level of expertise? How do you manage the work that you're being given? And are you excelling at it when you do it? Because what happens is that a lot of times people who get into leadership, other people see their qualities and encourage them to do it. So yes, there's a great career ladder in sterile processing, and even from there, you can be assistant supervisor, director, regional director, so it's different levels that requires different responsibilities. Sometimes they may require additional certifications, which I do encourage people to get. If you have the certifications out there at ISHM or use CPSPD, obtain them. I think it looks good that you took the opportunity to not just have the education, but verify your education by validating it with a certification. If you have the opportunity to go to school to getting healthcare administration or get an associate's, in liberal arts, that will help promote your educational or your career ladder. One thing I also encourage people to do, if you at a job and that job is really working for you, see where you can move up in the job. There are times where you may have to leave the job to get what you want in terms of the elevation that you need and responsibilities that you may want. But if you can do it within a job, it really looks good in an organization, because it shows some longevity where you're at, and it shows your commitment, to the process at that particular healthcare system.
Definitely. A very insightful answer. As a technician, there are many ways to go about going into leadership. Follow-up question. So how do you develop yourself as a technician?
Well, what I've seen a lot of technicians do, which was somewhat different than the way I did it, in bigger organizations, you may have people assigned to certain services. I've seen technicians say, hey, I've done orthopedic for 6 months. I've pretty much got this down. Can I take on neurology? Can I take on ENT or otolaryngoscopy? Or can I take on scopes? The more information and the more skills, the more you develop your skill set, the more of an asset you become, not just to the department, but to that organization. And they'll see you as maybe the person that needs to step up and be elevated because your evaluations are great, your attendance is great. You're helping others. You don't mind mentoring people. You don't mind when people come in that are brand new, taking them and precepting them and making them people that can become independent and competent, where they can handle the workloads that's given to them. And then the other thing you want to develop is your behavior. I work with very good technicians, and I work with some awesome technicians, but sometimes their behavior may hold them back. And what I mean by behavior, how they handle situations. Situations may not go their way, and they become very boisterous. And then you see people that may not go their way, but they become better at what they're doing, so that the next time that situation come up, they're looked at in a positive light. So there's challenges all the way around with it, but I think that if that's what you want to do, it can be accomplished. But again, I would say lay out a plan. Like write your plan down. You say, okay, this is what I want to do in a year, 3 months, 3 years, 5 years, and stick to that plan. And that way, if you don't follow the plan, or if you're off the plan, you can take a look at it and say, okay, I see where I had a couple of stumbling blocks at. Take your evaluation seriously. If you're a supervisor, manager, or whoever is giving you comments that may not be favorable, don't be upset about it. Let that be something that you really strive to get better at, so that way they can see the work and the efforts that you're putting in it to make yourself a better person and a better technician.
Definitely. And I followed some of those steps in the beginning of my career also. Trying different services, different areas in the department, trying to multitask. Not shying away from the busier areas, like digging time at 3 p.m., sterilization at 9, 10, 11, when everything has to go in the sterilizer before third shift comes in. The pick room, if some of you guys do pick cases, some of you don't. The pick room on the weekends, on the nights, trying to get first cases out, first cases complete. Definitely not shying away from those opportunities will definitely help you develop your skill sets.
Yep.
Yeah. So you have any questions? Alessandra unfortunately is experiencing some technical difficulties, so she couldn't stay on. So we'll just move on. And we'll take a 30-second break, guys. Call in 559 Talk SPD, leave a message, and we'll definitely air your message on the show before the show is done tonight. So we'll take a 30-second break, guys, and we will be right back. So guys, welcome back to the show. Welcome. We're still on here. We had a couple discussions on being a technician, count sheets and trays, and a couple other things. So Jeff, we're going to wrap up in a few minutes. You have anything else you want to bring up? Anything you want to go over before the end of the show? And I'm still waiting for the caller. Guys, please call in. I'm waiting. I'm looking. I'm not seeing anyone calling in. I was hoping to get a first call tonight. I think
what I wanted to look at too, Bernard? I know we talked about being able to go on locale at maybe a conference. I think that we should put that out to the audience maybe one day and ask them how do they feel and would they come to our booth if we do it. See what some of the responses would be. That'd be good.
Yeah, guys. I'm thinking of there'll be a conference in Atlantic City next spring, so we're thinking of getting. I'm not sure if we'll be at Isham, but we're definitely thinking of representing possibly at Isham. I'll be at Isham. Just to let you know, I'll be at Isham. It's a secret. So I'll be at Isham, and the next year I'll be at the chapter conferences near you if they allow me in to the chapter meetings. So I'll be there. Also, we're trying as the process group to enter those different avenues. Maybe do some speaking as a group. Maybe do some live interviews. So that'll be a good thing. I'm also interested in interviewing Isham board members. If any Isham board members would like to do an interview, let me know. All right. So, we're going to be branching out for the remainder of the rest of the summer and the rest of this year. So we have a couple big things. Also, I have one idea I wanted to get into. I always post my little videos. I want to get a bunch of us together for a walk, and maybe some kind of sterile processing tournament, some kind of outing, barbecue. If you think that's a good idea, guys, let me know. If you guys would come out to a sterile processing barbecue, or sterile processing walk, or sterile processing basketball competition. I know we have a lot of guys and gals out in the sterile processing arena who could play some ball, whether it be soccer, table tennis, volleyball, basketball. I know we have a lot of athletes in sterile processing. So if you guys want to start a tournament, competition, whether it be online, virtually, or in person, let me know. We could probably do something. All right, we'll plan something out. Yeah, definitely. Oh, boom. So okay, Alessandra is definitely trying to come on again. So we hope her internet holds. Hold, please. And I'm still waiting for that first caller. I haven't seen anything yet. I'm still waiting.
We got one brave soul that's going to call. Somebody's got to call.
Yeah.
One brave.
Yeah. Before 8 o'clock, one person, one brave soul call. I know you might be a little shy. I know if we're playing this again, somebody's going to call the line later. But between 7 and 8 on Wednesday evenings. So, all right. So, are you hearing that? Let me see if I could. Hello.
Hey.
Hey, how are you?
Well, your calls are coming through or not?
Yes, my calls are coming through. You're actually live right now, so you're our first live caller. I said I wouldn't take it live, but since it's a full, you calling late, and I saw your call before. So, hello, who is this? This is the process. How can we help you?
It's Sharon.
Sharon, how are you, Sharon?
This is Sharon. Yes, I'm fine. I just tuned in and said, let me just give you guys a shout out for a job well done. And I did have a couple things I mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm. We listening?
We got some feedback.
We're listening.
I'm going to go into another room.
We're listening. Talk. We're listening to you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was asking, what do you think would be a good way to get, say, the OR to put items back in the tray so they don't delay processing?
That's a good question.
Challenging question, too.
Yeah.
Food for thought.
Yeah, I think we're all working on that. But Jeff, I'll let you go with that answer.
Again, that's going to be a process, and I think part of my success was being to have somebody I can champion within the operating room.
And Sharon, I'll hang up now. Can you listen on the other side?
Yes.
All right. Thanks for your call.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it. And I'll get you your mask. All right.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, I think part of my
Jeff.
success before was just having somebody I could champion with in the OR. And once I was able to get somebody to champion with and partner with me in the OR, I took them and got them to see the opportunities that we were missing because of the point of use processing that wasn't getting done. And it's so vital because it doesn't only affect how sterile processing process the instrumentation if it's set up perfectly, but how it can delay instrumentation, especially if it's something that needs to be turned around. And having somebody to do that, and then I actually sat down with them and showed them how long the process would take when instruments came down in disarray, not put back in a bin, not sprayed or kept moist as they're transported to decontamination, and when trays were done that way, how much time we do save, and how the turnaround time is decreased significantly, and we can do it almost close to realistic turnaround times when we understand what point of use processing can do. And it may be just educating the operating room and say, hey, we're really on board with what you guys are doing, but it's kind of hard for us to effectively get this back to you when these things are happening. I know at one institute, when I took pictures, sat down with the manager of the operating room and said, hey, this is a problem here. Can you help me out? Because it doesn't really affect us as much as it's affecting that patient, as much as it's affecting the outcome of that patient surgery or the doctor's trust in the whole process of sterile processing if they in interpreting what they should be getting back in a timely manner, and they're saying, "Hey, I'm waiting here, and the instrumentation is not getting sent back." So yes, it's a challenge. A lot of communication is done. Some of the bigger organizations have people like project managers, that are vital with assisting with situations like this. You can also talk to infection control and risk management. Get them to champion with you because a lot of times they have a lot of information and insight that will help you when you sit down and talk with your other customers, like the operating room. And it could even be the ED or a clinical area. The same situations can be vital if we're not doing point of use processing. So I
Definitely,
would
that's
try
a good
those
answer.
first.
Very insightful answer. So what I have had experience with, um, and had some initiative on, is when we had issues with trays coming down with in all the instruments not in the set. I would look at the whole process, the entire process to see what's the norm and what's the resistance for the OR doing what they're doing. So in some cases there are pill pack items that end up going in the tree or coming out the tree. All right, or going to the side of the tree. Another thing is how the trays come down. Are they coming down in the containers? Are they coming down in baskets? Is it coming back in a container just without the locks, everything containerized the same way coming down? Or is it just all over the place? So if their process doesn't have any order to it, any rhyme or reason to it, there may be an issue. No, why is she shaking her head? So if their process doesn't have any rhyme or reason to it, and it's just whatever room wants to do, put any trays back, however, then you have more inconsistencies. But if there's a set process in place, hey, you count your instruments, which is difficult for a lot of places to do. Count your instruments, put them back in the, wipe them down, put them back in the tray. In some cases, put it back into the original Ascalab Genesis Case Medical one tray container. Put the lid back on. So in that way, you ensure that whoever is doing that tray on the clean side isn't getting up looking for an Alice, looking for a knife handle, looking for a mallet. Stuff that's generally not missing is most times a big issue. Like if you always get a mallet in a tree and you have no extra mallets or mallets are scarce, now you have to go look for a mallet. Mallet might be in the OR, single wrap, So issues like that won't occur if you have a set process in place. That's what I believe. So what I did was I tried to get a set process in place. Obviously every process isn't perfect, even cell processing isn't perfect. But if you put something in place where every room sends every case down individually. Okay, one of the issues was OR rooms holding cases. So let's say you have 2 breast cases, they would hold that for both breast cases, or 3 breast cases. So now you'd have 3 breast trays all mixed up. Now us on the clean side wouldn't know which 3 breast trays came down together. So you'd get one, pull that, it has a bunch of extra instruments from the other breast trays. Now you'd pull the other one, it would be like half a breast tray. So then you'd have issues trying to figure out where these instruments are, because Sam did the first breast tray, he put everything back in the closet. Now you're doing the other one, it's like a half a tray. Now you're trying to pick out the closet every instrument you're missing. So one of the things I basically harped on was to get every case done and sent down in time. The case isn't complete unless SterileProcessing has the case card or the instrumentation from that case. That's when you consider the case complete. So if you think it's complete and the trays are outside in the OR, in the C core, wherever that is, in the dirty area, the case isn't complete unless we get the trays. That's when you could check it off your checklist as a complete case. So that's one of the things. And Leslie has a question: how much responsibility do you think reps should have to train CS on the disassembly? Oh yeah, of new instruments coming into the department. I think all the responsibility. One of the main things, I just had a issue recently with K-wire being lodged in I think the shoulder tray. One of the cannulas had a K-wire in there, and we didn't pick that up. So not being familiar with, I think that was the second time that vendor's instruments was at the facility. Oh, we have another call, so we're going to take that call and see. Oh, that person hung up. Oh, call back. I was gonna take your call. Please call back. Don't be shy. So definitely, any new trays you have, you need to find the time. I know we had some conversations. I had some conversations on Clubhouse with one of the groups on there about having time for education. So one of the main things was making time for education. So I think it's a leadership, it comes from the top down. So the leadership definitely has to make time for education. It has to be a priority, because all the trays could get done, but then you have mistakes, and then your priority would be, hey, how are we going to fix the mistakes? So your priority has to start with education, and that then lessens your mistakes. So if you think about production before education, you're always going to have issues. So education comes first. So if you have any new trays, always schedule in-service as close to your release date of that tray, or your go live date for that tray. At least a supervisor, lead tech, manager should get some information on that tray, that instrument. If the rep isn't available, to present that to the team, that hey, we have a new tray, this is what it's used for, these are the points of use, these are the instruments that get used on a regular basis. This is what you should be looking for. This instrument is used for this case. So when you see this instrument or this tray comes down, these 3, 4, 5, 6 items, you need to focus on these. The whole entire tray needs to be inspected, but these instruments are the most commonly used. So definitely every new tray or every new instrument definitely needs to have a thorough in-service. And also, don't forget those people who miss the in-service or who miss the education. Always double back and get those, because that's where the majority of your mistakes are going to be. Those people who came in late, or those people who were off on vacation, those people who worked the weekend, who were off the next day, those people are more susceptible to making mistakes. Even if you get 98%, those 2-3 people, those people on FMLA, make sure you get those people when they come back into the department. Right. I think I'm talking too much. I don't really talk this much.
You're doing good. You're doing fine. Yeah, and the other part is that, especially with hospitals that have educators, they need to be directly involved with setting up those in-services so they can keep up with what's happening and how it's going about. It's very important because, again, like you said, a lot of the reps, they may not come and do the in-services, and that's when it's the responsibility of the department to get that education and get it out to everybody. And yes, Alessandra, some reps don't know the sets very well, or at all. And that, again, I want to take the initiative to learn that set and teach it to my team. If I have to research it to see what comes together or what doesn't come together, I need to know all the ins and outs and intricacies of it, and then have to roll that education out to the entire team so everybody knows. Anything else?
Yep. No, that's it. Leslie says thank you. I tried, Leslie. I tried. It doesn't always come out nice and smooth. I tried. So, Alessandra, some reps do not know the trays, and that's true. I know some reps who were salesmen for insurance, and they started working with, I wouldn't name the vendors, but some start with S, some start with Z, So, and he didn't start like people look at sterile processing like, oh, hey, you came into this field and you had no healthcare background, you didn't have a degree, but some of these reps come from wherever, and you think they're so educated, they have degrees. No, they're just like us, and they had a niche for this specific vendor or this specific procedure, and they become experts on that. As them anything else, and they don't know. So don't think because it's a rep they're so knowledgeable or they know everything. They're regular folks just like sterile processing technicians. So, all right. And then if you have a rep that doesn't understand these instruments, definitely report that, because that could definitely cause your department to have issues. So definitely bring that to the attention of your manager, director, or call that rep's office and say, hey, he doesn't know what he's doing. He is putting the patients at risk. He is causing, he can't educate my team, which is putting the patients at further risk of having contaminated instruments. So, you know what? I don't really talk this much, so we gotta go. So, Jeff, I see a SCT on behind you. What's going on with this SCT situation?
SCT is Sterile Concepts Technology. It's a healthcare consultant and education firm, and it's where healthcare and education meet professionalism and excellence. We thrive on making sure that people know everything they need to know about sterile processing. We come into institutions, we train staff, we do in-servicing, we do consulting in the operating room, and sterile processing alike. Any issues or concerns, you can always reach out to us if you have questions. Even outside of the show, you can go to sctservice.com.
All right, great. That was in perfect time. So I'm gonna wait 20 seconds for one call. I'm gonna wait 20 seconds, see if I get one more call to end the show. All right, I'm waiting 20 seconds. So I'm gonna go into a short 30-second break. I'll wait 40 seconds. So I'll go into a 30-second break and wait for the next caller. All right.
Any luck?
Hello. Who am I speaking with? Hello, who's this?
Can you hear me? It's Alessandra.
Oh, hey, Alessandra. Hey,
Alessandra,
how are
hi.
you? It sounds familiar.
Yeah, I thought I would be the last caller to wrap up the show.
Okay. All right. So what's your take? What's your take on the show? How did it go? What's your take on the new call-in feature? What's going on?
I think that is some trend-setting activity. I'm excited to be able to hear from SPD techs all over the country and the world asking questions about sterile science.
Hold on. A bomb for that. I just had to drop a bomb on that one. Okay, continue.
Okay, so my question is, as someone that just experienced a whole lot of tech difficulties,
Mm-hmm.
and thinking about our SPD techs that has computers for everything we do, can you guys talk to us about emergency planning and what do you do when your tracking system goes down?
Oh. Jeff, you want to go over that one?
I do
think
apologize. I got distracted for 2 seconds. I didn't catch the whole thing. Oh man,
Can you
that was
repeat
horrible.
that? Can you repeat that, Alessandra?
When you have a storm or your computer doesn't work, what do you do when your tracking system goes down?
What you should have is what they call downtime activity sheets or activity logs. For every computer process that's generated, you need to have something as a backup. And that means you have to have a hard copy of everything that you do. So there should be hard copies of every case that you have set up.
Yeah.
There should be a hard copy of every tray list that you have set up, even when you do your sterilization forms, even when you do your biological readings. And they're set up to where if something like that happens, the system goes down or there's an electrical outage or whatever, you should be able to go to these forms and be able to continue your process effectively. Now, what I do encourage is that don't set this process up and never use it. If you set this process up, then what you should do, like we used to do when we were in grade school, have a fire drill. You have to do it so that way people understand what they're doing, how to do it, and set it up on all 3 shifts. Because if you do not get this team to practice it, they will not know what to do, and they will look at you like, okay, you gave us this stuff, now what are we supposed to do with it? Because unfortunately, some of the newer technicians, they're coming into just the computer generation. They don't have hard copies or anything and want to know how to proceed with it. But that's what you should have, a downtime process to where if anything's happened, you have a backup setup already established.
Oh man, that's a good answer. So one of the things I suggested way back in the day was have most tracking systems are connected to the servers on the other end at the servers for the tracking system.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my suggestions way back when, and I believe it worked, was to have a WOW, which used to be called a cow. So it's a computer on wheels. So if you have a computer on wheels that's not connected to anything else, so you could do your scanning and everything stays on that cow or that WOW, then you could upload that to the servers later on when everything kicks back in. So definitely guys, if you have a tracking system that goes down, make sure you have a computer on wheels. You'll be able to roll around and scan, because you won't have, if you have 10 workstations, you won't have 10 computers around, 10 cows around just laying, or 10 wows around. I mean, I know the reason why they changed the acronym. If you have 10 wows around, you won't, that's not kind of feasible. So you might have 1 or 2 wows around. So if you have those, you'll be able to roll around to different workstations. You'll be able to scan your trays if possible on completion, on beginning of assembly and completion. And then when the server kicks back in, you'll be able to upload that information. So you basically won't be losing anything and won't have that much paperwork to actually regurgitate into the tracking the system. So definitely guys, get some wows, especially in your decontamination area. You should have one, and your assembly site for your sterilization area, your prep and pack. And if you have definitely if you pull in tickets, you definitely want to use a WOW. So make sure you have a WOW in your department if you have a tracking system. That's a good backup, I believe. So I don't know. I talk so much tonight. I don't know if I'll talk on the next show. So I don't know. So guys, that's my old piece of advice for that, and it definitely works though. It definitely works if you have a WOW to get that scan, especially your sterilization loads. If you go down to I know Jeff is speaking from experience. If you go down to paper form, and then you have to, I mean, most people still keep the sterilization paperwork, But if you're scanning everything and you have to look and say, oh, this actually gets sterilized, what date, you could actually upload that and get that information back. So, yeah. And Jeff, I know you work somewhere where I recommended that years before, and they told me it was too expensive, and then they end up doing it anyway. So I know you're familiar with that. But that was my idea, just so you know.
Listen,
That was my
I'll
idea.
give you the proper help. Your idea. Excellent.
So guys, so it was a great show. Alessandra called in. No more calls. So we guys, thank you for watching. We appreciate you watching. Thank you for being such passionate guests. Leslie, thank you. Alessandra, thank you. And all those other guys watching on Facebook and on YouTube. So on Facebook it's Sterile MD, on YouTube is The Process, and I guess we'll see you on the next one. Jeff, any last words?
No last words. Keep on processing, people.
Peace.